Hello, I'm Evelyn Kokeman, a 12th grader at Albert Einstein High School, and these are some of the ways I cope. I have ADHD and anxiety, so some of the ways that I cope is just listening to music. It really helps distract me and makes me calm down because, well, I'm not currently think of the thing that caused me to need to cope. Or I just talk to my friends because I know a lot of them know what's going on in my life and I'm very comfortable around them. And then the last thing I do is usually just letting out my emotions. Holding it in can really cause problems. So make sure that you let it all out and just know it's not bad to cry.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Can I get a big good morning from everybody? Oh, come on now. Y'all can do better now. Let's hear it again. Good morning. All right. All right, that's what I want to hear. So, welcome everybody to our annual Mental Health and Wellness Fair. My name is Dr. Christina Chester. I am the Director of Psychological Services for MCPS. And I'm so glad to see all of our students, staff, and family here today. We have come together each year to have this event since 2017, and we are so glad, even through the pandemic and others, to be able to be here to highlight different efforts around mental health and wellness here in our schools. And so we are here today, and there's so many different events for you to participate in. There are over 30 vendors that are here to provide for you information around different wellness and mental health resources here in MCPS. And we have a variety of activities and informational sessions for you to participate in. We'll have some more information later about what to do with your passport. They're in your blue bags that you received when you checked in. We want to make sure that everyone has either signed in on the sheet or signed in using the QR code at the table when you first come in. And in that bag, it has your passport. And that passport is used to go around to the vendors and go to different informational sessions to help you with your SSL hours. But again, I am so thankful to have you here today. This is the culmination of our annual Mental Health Awareness Week. It is also National School Psychology Week, so as a school psychologist, it always makes me happy about that. And so as we go through here, today we have some other people up here to provide some brief welcome for you as we get going today. But first, I want to bring up our co-presidents of the Montgomery County School Psychologists Association who helped to co-host this annual event, Ms. Alondra Addison and Ms. Madison Buckholtz.
Good morning. We're so excited to welcome you all to the 2025 Mental Health and Wellness Fair. I am Alondra Anderson.
And I'm Madison Buckholtz, and we are MCPS school psychologists and the co-presidents of the Montgomery County School Psychologists Association, or MCSPA. And we are proud to be the co-sponsors of today's fair. This fair actually began several years ago as a reception organized by our colleagues, and it has since grown into this incredible event celebrating connection, well-being, and community.
It is truly inspiring for us to see so many students, teachers, caregivers, and staff gather here to recognize something that touches us all, mental health and wellness.
We have an engaging day planned for you, packed with activities designed to inspire, connect, and recharge you. You will find resource tables, fun activities, and workshops throughout the day. MCSBA will have a table, and 3 of our amazing colleagues will be presenting sessions on social media's impact on mental health, building resiliency, and what is a school psychologist. Please be sure to check those out.
And as Dr. Chester mentioned, this is National School Psychology Week, so we want to give a special shout out to our wonderful colleagues that are here today, our school psychologists, for your dedication, compassion, and commitment to guiding our students. We're so thankful for all that you do. So can we give them a round of applause, all of our school psychs?
We also want to thank everyone who made today possible, from our amazing students to our staff, caregivers, and community partners. Thank you for showing up, being open to learning, and for helping to make our community a place where it is safe to talk about mental health.
Let us make today a day filled with connection, positivity, and fun, and make this one of the best mental health and wellness fairs yet. Thank you.
All right, next, we're going to have a video from our superintendent, Dr. Thomas Taylor.
Hello, MCPS community. This is your Superintendent Thomas Taylor. This November, we will celebrate Mental Health Awareness Week. At MCPS, we know that mental health is key to helping every student learn, grow, and thrive. This year's theme, You Matter, Every Mind Counts, building resilience for lifelong mental wellness. Resilience can be simple, and here are a few tips. Make strong friendships. Notice your feelings. Practice calm skills. Take care of your body. Think brave thoughts, and ask for help when you need it. Even these small steps, like talking about your day or taking deep breaths before bed, can make a huge difference. You matter, and every mind counts. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have one of our chiefs, my boss, Dr. Margaret Cage, who will have opening remarks as well.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. It is so good to be here with you today. As Dr. Chester announced to me, I am Dr. Margaret Cage. I am the Chief of Student Support Services, which encompasses our mental health and well-being and also our special education. Today, I want to definitely come in and extend you a heartfelt welcome to our families, our community supporters, our elected officials, our staff members, and most importantly, our students that are here with us today. It is wonderful to see so many of you coming out to support our efforts with mental health and well-being. The purpose of today's event that has been shared with you a couple of times already is the culmination of our week-long activities for mental health awareness. And why does mental health awareness matter? It is the essentials for success, both in school and out of school. Even as adults, we have to understand our own mental health and well-being and things that surround us in making us successful. It is no secret, research definitely supports that when students feel supported emotionally, they do better, they grow, they learn, and they thrive. That's why promoting well-being is a key part of not only our superintendent, but our Board of Education strategic plan. Today's fair will offer you many opportunities focused on mind and body wellness. Please make sure to visit all of our partners that are assembled outside of this auditorium to get information, success strategies, and tips on mental health and well-being. Finally, I want you to remember that in MCPS, we have a plethora of school psychologists, and again, I want to congratulate them on Psych Week because it is important to celebrate our own. We also have social workers and school counselors available to not only support our students, but to also support our staff and our families. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for caring. Thank you for helping us to create a culture where mental health matters. Take care and enjoy the fair today. Thank you.
All right, next, I want to bring to the stage Ms. Laura Studer, one of our members of our Board of Education.
Thank you so much for being here. My heart is full that we have students here who are able to talk to our professionals right here so you can get the support you need, and also learn that it's okay to ask for help when you need it. As a board member, I have to ask for help, and I've learned that through many years of interacting with our youth and with the providers who help our youth. I myself have had to talk to psychologists in the past. It's really helped me become a more resilient person. So I hope that you have those opportunities right here today and also in our school system. And so this part of this day, we are celebrating, I'll put the resolution up here, National School Psychology Week. And I would like to present this to Dr. Connolly Chester. And before we do the actual presentation, which will move over to the center of the stage, I'll read a little bit of it. Whereas the National Association of School Psychologists has designated November 3rd through the 7th, 2025 as National School Psychology Week to recognize the important work of school psychologists to support students' learning and well-being. And whereas the theme for this year is National School Psychology Week is Finding Your Path. The theme recognizes the ways that school psychologists take an active role in helping everyone in communities determine paths to learning, growth, and overall well-being that meet their unique needs. Resolved that the members of the Montgomery County Board of Education, the Superintendent of Schools, hereby recognize November 3rd through 7th, 2025 as National School Psychology Week. And we can go over here and take some fun pictures.
All right, thank you, Ms. Stewart. All right, next we have some announcements and some information about the different aspects of our day. I am going to introduce Ms. Farrah Jones, who is our MCPS Mental Health Coordinator.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's not going to work for me. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's a little better. Good morning, everyone. Good. We are so happy to have you here. I am Farrah, one of the Dr. Chester and I co-coordinate this event. We have a few announcements. If you don't have a paper agenda, there you can scan the QR code to get that. We want to make sure the most important question that has been, how do I get my SSL hours? Where do I get that? So I want to make sure I answer those questions. But a couple of announcements we have to make. So our schedule today, after we leave here, we will have 3 sessions of workshops. They're 30 minutes each with a 5-minute transition. Our workshops will take place upstairs. So if you go out to the right, go all the way down, and we have some wonderful student volunteers who will help you go to those workshops. We do have requirements this year. This is new. You have to attend the workshops. No TikToks in the hallways anymore. You got to be in there, okay? So make sure that you get your stamp, because when it's time for your SSL forms at the end of the event, you have to have your passport complete, and we'll go over those. The passport, the requirements are you must have 2 workshops. One must be a core workshop. Your passports are in the front of your bag. They're in the front pocket. Make sure you have 2 workshops, at least a core workshop and then one of our fun movement workshops like Zumba or line dancing. Those will take place in another room. I'll tell you in a second. They were going to take place on the stage, but there's a musical happening here, so we have to revamp for that. Make sure you have 6 resource tables as well. to get those SSL hours. Here's our workshop schedule. You can attend, we have highlighting two that are in Spanish only for those who would like to attend those. All the notes are on the program. The Zumba class and line dancing will take place in the chorus room, and that is straight down the hall, the bottom part of the hall, all the way down there, signs, and there'll be students to direct you. Who's coming to the line dancing? Only one person? Well, we're going to jam together, darling. We're going to jam. Come to the line dancing. There's some Zumba. I see some over there. They're going to talk about how your mind and movement are connected. Of course, most of you have started visiting our resource fair. Most of our partners here today are official partners with Montgomery County Public Schools, Department of DHHS, or Montgomery County government. There are a few here who are just community organizations. The resource fair participants who are partnered with us have a little asterisk beside it so that you know that. Those are all of my announcements once we leave here. We have a few minutes for you to make your way, see what workshop you want to do. Stop by the snack table that's out in the hallway as well. Grab a snack, but please do not bring any snacks back into this room. There's no food or drinks in this room. Later on, we will have a food truck outside if you want to go out and try and purchase some food during the lunch hour, okay? All right, enjoy today, learn something. Oh, yes, of course, how could I forget that? The student forum, forum has been revamped to Voices of Resilience. Our students in MCPS will be talking about their mental health journeys as well as the resiliency that they've had to be successful. We have 6 students, middle school and high school students at 1:45. Come back here at not 1:45, we're leaving then, 12:45, and I will be here to hand out those SSL hours. So you gotta come back here, we will hand it out at the very end of the event. You will receive 4 SSL hours for your passport. You'll turn that in for that. Did I forget everything else? All right, enjoy our mental health fair.
Enjoying a sport this year? I'm here to convince you why you should. While the physical benefits are obvious, participating in athletics can have lesser known but equally important benefits to your mental health. Playing a sport not only has scientific results, like increased serotonin and dopamine, which improve your mood and happiness levels, but also it teaches you how to handle daily stress and anxiety. As for me, I really enjoy competitive swimming. It allows me to interact with my friends, as well as deal with school and life stress. I love pushing myself and working as hard as I can because I always leave a workout feeling better about myself. But make your sport about you. Find something you love and do it because it improves the way that you feel about yourself and you get to get in shape while doing it. Doesn't matter whether it's lacrosse, basketball, swimming, or even bowling. The point is that you're moving your body and putting the effort in to succeed. That's all that matters in the long run.
Beautiful. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Oh, okay, that was one. We're going to try that one more time. I know you're asked to say good morning quite a lot today, but good morning. Beautiful. Well, welcome so much. My name is Megan Toomer. I'm here today as a wellness coordinator with the Employee Assistance Program here at MCPS. And I'm joined by my wonderful colleague and co-presenter, Christina Wong. And we are here today to talk about building resilience to nurture well-being. Today's session is primarily geared towards any adults in the room, but if you're a teen, you are more than welcome here. We're going to talk about what resilience looks like and how you can build it and nurture it. And, oh, beautiful. All right, so let's talk. Thank you so much for our tech support in the back. Thanks, Dan. Okay, so why we're here. We're really here today to acknowledge that each of you already have some resilience within you. You've been resilient before in your life. And each of us can also build and nurture resilience to continue growing and expanding in this area. This really helps support and serve as a protective factor for your mental health, so that when stressors come up or other adversity, your resilience is already there and you can turn and lean on it. As a group today, we're going to define resilience so that we have shared language for the folks that are here in the room. And we're also going to talk about how it supports your mental health. And then we're going to get a little interactive. We're going to practice some strategies to nurture your resilience as a group. Some of this is going to be some independent self-reflection. You'll have a chance to think about and reflect on your own resilience, and we'll practice some activities together. And we're going to close today by talking about the Employee Assistance Program. We're an office here in MCPS that supports all employees, their adults who live in their home, and retirees. Okay, we really can't be here for the Mental Health and Wellness Fair without first talking about mental health awareness. So this comes from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI. And they have some research that says about 1 in 5 adults experience a mental illness each year, and yet only half seek out or participate in treatment, which can be therapy or psychiatric support or group support, etc. And this might be underinflated numbers, right? There might be even more people who are struggling with their mental health that aren't seeking out support. As we're here and talking about mental health, we have both a diagnosable mental illness, and yet every person has mental health. And so really thinking about the small steps that you take on a day-to-day can really support you and nurture your mental health for the long term. And knowing too, however you're showing up in this room today, if today is a harder mental health day for you, that it's okay to not be okay right now, and you are welcome no matter what your experience is. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about agency before we dive in. This is a locus of control wheel, really recognizing that there are things going on in your life that are out of your control and influence that impact how you're doing. And so I might even ask for anyone in the audience, like, what's one thing that's been out of your control today so far? Just shout it out. Traffic, yeah. I heard 2 for traffic. What else? Weather. Yeah, we've got a lot of rain overnight. It's lovely now, for my opinion, but we all have different perceptions of what we like about weather. Thank you. And really, even parking sometimes comes up. Requirements for SSL hours today. What else? What about what somebody else tells you to do or says to you? Can we control that? No, I saw some head shakes, yeah. So really recognizing and acknowledging that what other people say and do, their reactions to what you do, are out of our control. That's what somebody else is doing, it's their choices. And it's important for us to acknowledge that things are happening that you might not have control over, that impact how you're doing, that impact your mental health. And what our focus is for today's session is to acknowledge this is true and turn your attention to, okay, where do I still have control to care for myself? What words am I using? What am I doing to take good care of myself? And then where do I have any influence? As I think about my school or my friend group, my family, my workplace, where do I carry some influence in my community? Another way to think about this, I'm going to say a similar thing, just different language, right? Is this shift from either things are going really hard or they're going great, to inviting an expansiveness of language. So inviting multiple truths to exist. So, I didn't sleep well last night, I'm feeling super groggy, and I'm going to stay really hydrated today because that will help me. Or this part of my life is going on and it's pretty hard right now, and this is what I'm doing to care for myself. And these are the people who can support me. And so really allowing both to exist as you think about resilience. Okay, I'm going to define resilience for us so we have some shared language. Resilience is commonly thought of this ability to bounce back from a big stressor or other source of adversity in life. And I'm going to just offer a different way to think about it, because sometimes we go through experiences in life that really shift and alter who we are as a person, and we're not going to return to who we were before, and that's okay. And so resilience, as we're going to talk about it today, is this process of adapting and how you make meaning of your current circumstances just as they are, not as you wish or hope they would be instead. So how are you adapting to what's right in front of you right now? How are you taking good care of yourself through the process? What does that look like? And doing your best each day. Knowing that your best today is going to look different than your best yesterday, your best next week, that this is going to change day to day, and that's okay, that's expected. Meeting yourself where you are and showing up to the extent that you can each day to care for yourself. So I'd like for you to kind of take a moment. You can think about this yourself. We will have a handout. If anyone wants to walk up and grab a copy, we'll have that. We also have it on a QR code towards the end of our session. But really just thinking for yourself a time in your life where you were resilient, where something challenging or stressful happened and you showed resilience. What did you do? How did you care for yourself during this time? Who were the people or animals that you leaned on for some support? And what did you learn, either about the experience or yourself as a person? So just take a couple moments to think about that and see what comes up. Okay. And knowing too that if this was a little bit challenging to think about something, that's okay. You can continue reflecting on this as you move through the fair or even the rest of the week. I also forgot to mention our wonderful folks with MCPS TV are here, and today's session is being recorded in this room. So I just want to make sure that you all know that. Your faces are not on camera. It's us up here on the stage. And typically, if you're kind of calling your voice into the room, we won't be able to hear you. But I do just want to make sure you know that this session is being recorded. Okay, some more frameworks for talking about resilience and really thinking about resilience as how you're caring for yourself both in the moment and day to day and what that looks like. Window of tolerance is a theory that comes out of the work of Dr. Dan Siegel and Dr. Stephen Porges. It really offers a perspective that each person has this window where they are connected to others, engaged in critical thinking, able to handle life's challenges. Things might happen that are stressful, but they're not so overwhelming. And that's what resilience is part of. And that we live in this window, we have this window of resilience. And there's situations that happen in life that can shrink the window, that can make it smaller. And so as we move through today's session, we're going to focus on how can we widen our window of tolerance as a way to support resilience. And even when that's happening, we all have situations where something unexpected happens or a bigger stressor, and we get moved outside of our window. And that might look like, if you're familiar with language around fight, flight, or freeze, we have fight or flight. You're kind of maybe feeling anxious or overwhelmed or angry. You want to leave the situation or work your way through it. And we also have freeze, where you might feel numb or disconnected, not really interested in participating or engaging with the people around you. And so resilience both involves this widening of the window, so we're spending more time connected with others and present in the moment, and noticing when we've moved out of the window, and what do we need to care for ourselves when that happens. Another way to think about this is rivers have narrow passages where the water is moving really quickly, maybe not a safe area for tubing or whitewater rafting, right? But things are moving fast. It feels a little uncontrollable. And then our rivers can grow. They can be a little bit more expansive. The water's moving slowly. We feel like we can handle what's happening. We're not moving too quickly. And so thinking about this window of tolerance and this ability of widening your window or widening your river. Okay, so how do we actually do that? We're going to talk about a couple strategies, and then we're going to move to practicing some others. First off, really starting with sleep and rest. So what happened last Sunday? Who remembers? Daylight savings, yeah. So we had daylight savings. Who felt an impact from daylight savings? Yeah, a couple hands went up. So noticing, even just at the end of the day, it's getting darker much earlier, the impact that might have on your mental health. And just 1 hour can throw things off. It can throw things off for adults, for our littles, for teens, for our pets. We're not used to time switching, and even when we are, it happens twice a year, and it's an adjustment. And so a lot of the research around building healthy sleep hygiene involves prioritizing bedtime. Setting a routine around bedtime is not just for children, but really for all of us. And so what is a relaxing activity you can do before bed? That might look like having some tea, something warm to drink, dessert, something sweet if that's part of your routine, taking a bath, reading a book, really exploring what feels supportive to you as you get ready for bedtime to help cue your brain and body that, okay, it's time to settle down. The research also really encourages us to keep a similar 1 hour wake window around sleep. So that means that if you're getting up at 6:30 for school or work, on the weekends, it's encouraged not to get up past 7:30, keeping it within a window, about a 1 hour window. My caveat, though, is that sometimes we really need to catch up on sleep, and so you knowing your body best and what you need for rest. Anyone want to share something you do around bedtime or ways that you prioritize rest or sleep? What works for you? Or Christina, not to put you on the spot, but anything you want to share around bedtime?
Oh, well, I want to share the fact that napping is really what everyone should be able to do. Put in some time to take a nap. But definitely a routine for sleep, power off, make sure that, you have things that are distracting you away, have a routine, take a bath, read a book. Those are all things. And I love how Megan's asking me this question because I tell my colleagues all the time how much I love sleep. And if I have nothing to do, I will just take a nap.
I love it. Thanks, Christina. And are you comfortable sharing what you call your naps with all of us?
Oh, you mean my napetizer?
Yes.
Yes.
And so really inviting that sleep can happen at nighttime. We can also have naps during the day, or depending even on your shift for work, your sleep schedule might look a little bit different. But really exploring what are your needs around sleep and how are we making space for that. Because when you have a day where you haven't slept very well, you feel the impact the next day. It takes some time to catch up, and it impacts your body, it impacts your mind. Okay, returning again to our language around expansion, we're inviting space for multiple truths at once. And so talking a little bit about gratitude. And when we talk about gratitude, that doesn't mean that we are ignoring any challenges that might be going on. We can recognize where one area in life is really hard and difficult, and where another area is something that we can be grateful or appreciative of. So as human beings, we have something called a negativity bias. This means that we're more likely to notice and pay attention to negative information or perceived negative information than positive or even neutral information. So what this means is if you are taking a test and you get all but a couple answers right, or even if you are getting evaluated as an employee and you are doing well and there's a couple areas of constructive feedback or things to change, you tend to hyper-focus or pay extra attention on the perceived negative feedback, almost forgetting all the answers that you did get right or what you were doing well and that was acknowledged. And so it's important to know this, and then what are the strategies to help counteract this negativity bias? And a main one is gratitude. And so taking time to turn your attention to what's going well, what's bringing you joy, and what are you appreciative of. And so you can do this a couple different ways, and we can call out if you want, or even just kind of reflect to yourself, but thinking about something recently that's bringing you some joy, that you're enjoying in life, or one good thing, can be small or large, that's happened today so far, or this past week. Anyone have one good thing they want to share with us? I'll share a couple things. One, I had time to enjoy my full cup of coffee this morning uninterrupted. And so enjoying that time for myself. And then new music has come out. Some artists that I really like released new music yesterday. And so taking time to listen to that and connect with that brought me some joy. So really thinking about what are the things that you're noticing that's appreciative and that you're grateful for. Okay, and when you're outside your window, when you've noticed you've moved outside this window where you're feeling calm and connected to the people around you and able to handle life's challenges, what can you do to take good care of yourself? And so really this focus is on returning to the direct experience, what's happening right now for you and your body and your environment. And so we're gonna practice a couple, I'm gonna guide us through a couple, really involving the breath and the body. And so you can stand, if that would feel good in your body. We've been sitting for a little while. Or you can stay seated, that's just fine. But taking a moment now, maybe extending one arm to the side of you. If you're sitting next to someone, just being mindful of your wingspan nearby. You can also spread out if you'd like. And then as you take a breath in, raise your arm up to any height. And as you breathe out, lower your arm. We're going to do this 3 times, and you can experiment how slowly, how fastly you're letting your arms fall. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and out. One more time. Breathing in and out. And just noticing how that feels. If you did one arm, if you can sense this difference between the sides of your body or not. What it was like to take some deep breaths. And if you noticed anything at all, and if nothing, that's fine. Just a chance to really connect with your body and your breath. Another way that we can do this is to invite actually some energy into the body. So especially if you're feeling a little bit numb or disconnected or not really present, this can help bring some energy in, or even just plain sleepy, right? And so starting, you can put one hand in front of you or both hands in front of you, really kind of looking at your fingers, wiggling your fingers around, seeing your fingers move, noticing if there's any sensation of warmth or coolness, of tingliness, of air. And then, this might get a little tricky for me, but putting your hands together and rubbing them together. Bringing some friction, some energy into the palms of your hand. Noticing any warmth or other sensations. And then letting your arms fall to your side and inviting some shaking, inviting some wiggling, some movement into your whole arm. In front of you, to the side of you. Do the wave with your arm. And then returning to a sense of stillness as you're ready. And noticing, how do your arms feel? How do your hands feel? How does your mind feel? Does anyone want to share if you noticed anything? Or nothing at all, that's also fine. Okay. Was that a hand? Yeah, go for it. They feel less tense. Yeah, your arms, where feels less tense? So your biceps, the top of your arms, and your palms. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you bringing your voice in. Anyone else notice anything you want to share? Okay. Oh, was that a hand? No, not a hand. Okay, we'll move us along. Okay, the other option that we can do is really kind of connecting with our 5 senses. So our sensation of touch, sight, smell, hearing, and taste. And sometimes, depending on who you are as a human and how you show up in the world, and also what your experience is now, not all of the senses are available at the same time or even available to you, and that's okay. For right now, though, I'd invite you to look around the room, this beautiful auditorium here at Gaithersburg High School, and look around and say 5 things you can see in this space. Just to yourself, you can say it in your head or whisper to yourself. 5 things you see, and getting specific. Taking in this room, that your body's here in this present moment, and what you can see now. And that these practices, both the breathing that we did, some of the inviting energy into the body, taking in the sights around you, are ways to ground the body in the present moment and help regulate when you've moved outside your window of tolerance into a space of fight, flight, or freeze. And Christina is going to tell us more about connecting with the senses.
Talking about strategies again and bringing you back to those 5 senses. One great strategy is to practice mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is, in a general sense, defined as bringing yourself back into the present moment. And I like structure. So if I'm practicing something, I like to kind of go by something. And so when you're using the 5 senses, you can cue yourself on a sense that really relates to you, something that speaks to you, something that makes you really calm, right? So I've organized this slide based on the senses that really resonate with me right away, things that calm me right away. First is smell. I love smelling a flower, bringing in some aromatherapy into my office. Things like that really help calm me down right away, and I also always surround myself with it. Taste. You could bring a little piece of candy or a little chocolate with you, right? Tasting a nice warm beverage as it's getting colder, hot chocolate, little mocha, or a really nice cold brew, right? Those are all great ways to calm yourself. Sight. So this morning I woke up, I walked my dog, my little Boba Doodle, and it was really beautiful. There was like fog or in the air, and there's like a little wetness on the grass, and it was just a really lovely view. You know, something like sight can really speak to you and calm you down. And touch. Those of us that have pets, snuggling with a pet. As it's getting colder, we're probably warming up to a nice sweater, putting on a little hoodie, and also holding a loved one, hugging a loved one is always a great way to introduce touch for your mindfulness. And finally, hearing. Megan shared that there's some new music out that she's looking forward to listening to. I love a good podcast, a good instrumental, morning music playlist for myself. And so this really just gives you a little bit of an idea of how you can implement the strategy of mindfulness. Anyone want to share what their sense is, like what's their favorite sense that speaks to them? Something that keeps them calm, something that really resonates with them. Is there a favorite for you? No? Yes, please.
I think sometimes looking up at the sky in the middle of the day at some point can be very calming.
Great, looking at the sky. So the sight sense. Yes, great. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yes, over there.
I love roses, so candles that smell like roses, and just
I love it. Roses, so it actually captures two senses. You've got the smell and the sight. Thank you for sharing. All right. So let's just put this all together. Megan did an amazing job defining resiliency, starting you out with some ideas for practicing it. Now this is a plan that you can take with you. You can QR code this. It really just kind of highlights and, again, structure, right? Puts together how can you kind of build a resiliency plan. So first reflect. Is there a resiliency structure that you already have in place, right? What do you do? What do you learn from that experience? Is there some way or example that you've been able to show the resiliency, right? And is there a strategy that you do that works for you, right? For me, exercising in the morning, no matter how early it is, it starts my day. Nothing is conflicting because everybody's asleep, and that builds my resiliency. I'll always continue that for me. So what is that for you? And then pausing. So there might be a strategy you're thinking, you know, I'm going to pause on that and I'm going to do something else different. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for you. For me, I try to change up strategies every quarter, every season, because you know when the weather is a little too hot, because I do not enjoy the summer, I don't really like to walk outside as much. But once it gets colder, walking outside is one of my resiliency strategies, right? So thinking about seasons and things you enjoy and changing up some things and strategies with that pause column. And then starting. Maybe there's a strategy that you heard about today or have always wanted to start. You can put that down in that start column. And very importantly, at the bottom, supportive people in your life. That's so important in resiliency. Those people, those pets, those things that really make you want to get through the day, right? Those wonderful people in your life. Remember those and note that. All right, going to spend a few minutes really being able to share with those MCPS employees the services that are available to you through our Employee Assistance Program. And I always like to start out by saying that our department's sole purpose is to support the mental health and well-being of MCPS staff, their family members that are adults, and retirees. And we really do strive to support them and are so grateful for the work. It is a free service. It is confidential. That allows for the safe space for staff to come to us for our services, and it is voluntary. First and foremost, we offer short-term counseling. These sessions are up to 8 sessions per year, and it extends out to the tenure of that staff member. So one example I always say is, like, say the first year, you know, some people might be struggling with some stress or burnout and they want to see one of our counselors. They can get 8 sessions for that. Later on in their tenure at MCPS, if they're dealing with another challenge in their lives, they can come back to our office and get an additional 8 sessions. So it's not 8 one and done, it's 8 per session, hopefully per year. We also offer referrals to community providers. So if you're looking for legal support, financial support, looking for a special program because you're you're a caregiver for a loved one, those are all resources and referrals we can provide as well. We also run workshops similar to the one today. That's a short and sweet one. We have wellness information that we share in a quarterly newsletter as well as monthly bulletin boards. And those workshops can be available also virtually for staff through our PDO. During times of conflict, if staff are dealing with a conflict, it could be at work or it could be in their personal life, we have a wonderful partnership with the Conflict Resolution Center of Montgomery County. They have neutral trained mediators that can come, connect with the staff that is having conflict. Both that person and the person they're conflicting with will have to voluntarily agree to the mediation, but it's a great way to resolve conflict or support staff during a conflict. And finally, if there is a critical incident in a location in MCPS, we are there to support staff. So administrators can reach out to staff, to our office, and an EAP specialist will be available to support them on site and also in our office. All right, so what are some ways that staff, or reasons why staff would reach out to our office? This is certainly not an exhaustive list, but it can include job-related difficulties, relationship issues, stress and burnout. Again, any kind of referrals that staff might need for work-life services, alcohol or other substance abuse. I always say this: if a staff member, family member is dealing with a challenge that they just aren't able to cope and their usual strategies are not enough and they need more support, that's a good enough reason to reach out to us. All right, so this is a snapshot of our MCPS EAP website. This is on the MCPS website as well. As you can see, there are a number of different services that are available to staff, family, and retirees. Just clicking on the icon will give you more detail on those services. And if you scroll further down that page, you will see a calendar of events. That's going to list our webinars, our upcoming virtual PDO classes, and any workshops. The way the staff can reach us is by that phone number up on the top. We are available year-round, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. And on behalf of the Employee Assistance Program, Megan and I are so thrilled to be with you all here in Gaithersburg High School celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week and on this fair. We want to just share also this screen for those of you that are joining us live. This is the information from the presentation folder. And at this time, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Have so much fun. Thanks for being here. For any students who joined us for this session, if you need your passport stamped, you can come up to the front and have a great time at the rest of the fair today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm a CCMA, and these are my friends. Rocky, who's a CNA, and Maisie. Since October's Mental Health Awareness Month, here are some things that me and my friends do to keep our mental health well. Listen to music, to go on walks and clear my head. I like to dance. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month!
Hi, my name is Joanne Hianchit, and today I'm going to be educating you on teen suicide. Teen suicide is when a teenager ends their own life. It's very serious and affects many families and communities. Teen suicide is the second leading cause of death in the teens, and it's the 11th leading cause of death in the whole U.S. About 90% of teens who die by suicide had mental health conditions that went undiagnosed. Bullying, trauma, and depression are the common factors of a teen that may think of taking their own life. Parents who lose a teen to suicide often experience grief, guilt, and confusion. Parents may wonder if they caused it or if they could have intervened. Common warning signs of teen suicide is talking about wanting to die, losing interest in activity, withdrawing from friends and family, or saying goodbye often. Friends and family can help by listening to the teen without judging you, staying connected to them and talking to them, encouraging them to talk about their feelings, and if things get out of hand, talk to a trusted adult.
Most teens show signs that are often brushed off or ignored. LGBTQ plus teens are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. If you see a friend or family member struggling with any of these things, don't be afraid to reach out. Your words can save a life.
If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, call or text 988 for immediate help.
Hi, my name's Nikki, and I'm a junior at Albert Einstein High School. And some of the ways that I feel I cope through some things are basically just reminding myself, like, I'm human, like, not everybody's perfect. Because I feel like struggling with being judged is, especially in high school, everyone feels like they're being judged. So I feel like just reminding yourself every day that the good things about you, those things should stand out, and don't worry too much about the bad things because everyone else has bad things about themselves too. So I feel like, why point them out if everybody has them? But yeah, I just feel like, be yourself and don't let anyone take away like your spirit at all. But yeah, that's how I cope.
Stressful. People aren't always there to catch you. Sometimes in life, it feels like no one is there for you. That's what it feels like when mental health is ignored. When people don't check in, don't listen, or don't understand, it can feel like you're falling all alone. Mental health matters because it affects everything we do, our school, our friendships, even how we see ourselves. We can't just pretend it's not important. That's why you should join Who Minds Matter, because your mental health matters. We support it not only by raising awareness, but also planning events. My mind is heavy. Catch me. Okay.
Hey, my name is Alexis. What I find really helpful is when I get stressed or anxious is using headphones to help cancel out noise. And well, spending time by myself in a little quiet corner. Sometimes when you bother. Thanks.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to see so many of you here to support our student forum this afternoon. I just want to remind folks, we're going to have students come up here to present, make sure we're all, respectful of the information that they're sharing. They spent a lot of time prepping and preparing, so we want to be, it's a really courageous thing that they're doing, and I'm so thankful for all the hard work that they've done to put this together. Also, remind people that there's no eating or drinking in the auditorium. I know there are lots of wonderful snacks that we had outside. We're so thankful for the donations that we received from MCSPA, Care First, and other groups that supported the snacks that you were all able to have today, but you cannot eat them in the auditorium. So please, that is one of the rules here at the school. And then lastly, you all received index cards, and those are for questions that you can turn in at the end of the presentation, and we'll have our panelists be able to come and answer some of your questions at the end. And with that note, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Mental Health Awareness Student Forum. I'm Isaac Williams, and I'm the MCJC president for the 2025-2026 school year. MCJC stands for the Montgomery County Junior Council, and we are the countywide middle school student government association that represents all 37,000 middle school students across the 40 middle schools at MCPS. To tell you a bit about myself, I'm an 8th grader at Parkland Middle School, and I've served on their SGA for 2 years. I love sports, and I participate in karate, baseball, and kart racing. I'm also a huge gearhead, and I love cars, motorcycles, and airplanes. But, like all of us, I'm also human, and there are still some serious challenges that I and many of my peers have faced, and we'd like to talk about it. We hope you have enjoyed the activities of the fair thus far, but now we would like to shift your attention to some very important topics that my colleagues, many of our peers, and myself have faced. This year's Mental Health Awareness Week theme, You Matter, Every Mind Counts, is all about building resilience for lifelong mental wellness. Every person fights their own battle, and everyone has a struggle that very few or no people can see. However, that is not the beginning nor the end of the story, and these challenges do not have to triumph over us as people. So, at this time, I would like to introduce to you a few of my friends who are going to share their stories of challenge, resilience, and coping from a student perspective. The Mental Health Awareness Fair presents to you Voices of Resilience, brought to you by Seraphine Wilson, Ishita Zing, Nurbe Wadera, and Jessica Lima. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy.
Did you know that since the pandemic, there has been a 22% increase in anxiety and a 30% increase in depression in adolescents within the United States? That may seem shocking to hear as percentages. Now let me put that into perspective for you through numbers. That is 16 million children for anxiety and 21 million for depression. You may be asking yourself, how could it raise so much with just 3 years? I can tell you how. My name is Seraphine Wilson, and I'm an 8th grader at Neilsville Middle School. Today, I'm here to talk to you all about childhood stress and the ways that it's changed within these few years. To get back on track, it's isolation. With elementary school students, it is crucial for them to experience the world, see what it has to offer, and really build those social connections. But during the pandemic, they weren't able to do that at all. Instead, they stayed at home, quarantined and confinement for 2 whole years. They did everything through a screen, were forced to wear a mask in the little time that they did go out, and the only entertainment they had was a screen. So they played games, talked to people through screens, and couldn't really make friends through knowing them. Now people my age got used to staying inside. They didn't have that proper social awareness, so they become anxious in conversations and they act awkward when they don't know what to say. I won't say these feelings weren't there before, yet they were accelerated in being in such a close society for so long. That being said, before I continue this speech, it is important for you to know that I am not a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. There are plenty of people that you can go to, but unfortunately, I'm not one of them. However, I am somebody who has experienced this firsthand, and it is my duty to speak out for my peers and tell you how this has affected us. Now, students in the audience, can you please raise your hand if you have ever felt anxiety building in your chest? It feels sort of hard to breathe, and you can't exactly get your words out. If you look at the hands around the room, please keep your hands up. If you look at the hands around the room, you know that you're not alone. This pandemic has affected all of us, and it's clear through this research. According to the World Health Organization, or the WHO, loneliness, fear of infection, suffering, and death of oneself and loved ones / grief were a major cause of stress throughout the quarantine. While all these are valid concerns, I want to focus in on that loneliness. I want to argue that students felt this loneliness the most, and I can testify to that. When COVID hit, I had just recently moved to my new neighborhood, and I was still trying to fit into the school. Then, I literally had nobody to make friends with. It's not like I could just go on, knock on somebody's door and be like, hey, you want to come make friends? Didn't really work like that. So I was at a new school, nobody to talk to, no friends, and just completely alone. My mother was a night shift nurse during the pandemic, so she was sleeping throughout the day, and I couldn't talk to her. My father owned his own business, he still does, so he was away during the day. And my 2 brothers were also in online school, so I couldn't talk to them. So essentially, for 2 years of my life, I spent it without anybody to talk to. Now you may ask, how exactly did I cope if there is nobody to speak to at all? And the truth is that I didn't. As a kid, I didn't realize the huge impact that this would have on my mental state later on. And I was just bliss in watching kids bop all day or zoning out during classes. So I'm sure all of you can guess why. I can't write in cursive. Now, I wasn't completely attached to my screen. My parents still had time for me, and they were pretty amazing in how they handled it. Being a kid and all, you don't exactly know what your interests are. So when I say I tried everything, I tried everything. I was interested in painting, and a set magically showed up. Music seemed cool. I got a keyboard. Then I wanted to try chemistry, and a kid's microscope just popped up. Photography seemed cool, and then a few days later, a Polaroid camera came. But unfortunately, my cousins broke that one the same day, so sorry to mom and dad. My point is, it was a good idea for my parents to let me explore. It kept me from getting attached to my tablet, and I was able to express my curiosity in many ways. Touching back on one of those many hobbies that I've tried, music is a huge part of my life. I didn't quite master the keyboard, but I play the violin, string bass, dance, and sing. But the singing is a little bit more in the shower than actually. So practicing these hobbies allows for me to express myself in a form that helps other people feel enjoyment. So whether it's reading and tuning out the real world for a little bit, or practicing the bass and in turn improving my comprehension skills, I have a hobby that relieves stress. So this is what I encourage parents in the audience to do. Let your kids explore. Even if they fight you tooth and nail to stay on their tablet, it's better to let them go outside, see what the world has to offer, and find their interests. That way, these can later on become their coping mechanisms, which is way healthier than just keeping it in on the inside. Thank you so much for listening to this speech, and I really do hope that you learned something. Whether you're a student looking to cope, or a parent/guardian looking to connect with your child on a deeper level. I'd like to thank Dr. Baldwin, Ms. Lawrence, and Mrs. Green for helping me with this research and the impact that I hope to make. Thank you and have a great day, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishita Singh and I'm a sophomore at Poolsville High School. Almost every night, I find myself laying awake thinking about one question. Why do I feel so exhausted when I've done everything right? As I go through over the list of the day, I've studied hard, I've turned in assignments on time, and won awards. I admittedly should feel proud, but sometimes I don't feel proud. Rather, I feel invisible, small. Like no matter how hard I try, I'm always a step behind, not just with my grades, but with friendships and sometimes even in life. And what makes it even harder is that I'm not running alone. The people around me are in the same race, sometimes cheering each other on, and sometimes unintentionally becoming competitors. And sometimes, without meaning to, we hurt the people that we love. Imagine walking through the halls of a school where everyone is brilliant, ambitious, and accomplished. Every conversation, every test, every grade feels like a reminder that someone is ahead. And if you stop to breathe, even for a second, you feel like you're falling behind. This isn't just one student's experience, it's the reality for so many of us. The pressure to get good grades, excel in extracurriculars, impress teachers, and fit in socially is everywhere. And when we compare ourselves to others, our friends, our classmates, or even people online, it can slowly wear us down. In competitive environments, a good grade feels temporary. An award feels fleeting. There's always someone ahead. The pressure isn't just academic, it seeps into every corner of your life. Sports, clubs, volunteering, and social life. Suddenly, hanging out with friends feels like time wasted. Even laughter can carry guilt. Many of us carry anxiety like a hidden backpack, heavy, invisible, and constant. But in a culture that celebrates perfection, admitting we're struggling feels like failure. And when academics and social pressure collide, friendships start to crack. This is where the heartache begins. Friendships are supposed to feel like a safe space. But when life gets complicated, those same friends can unintentionally become mirrors, reflecting our deepest insecurities. There was a time when some friendships I cared about started to change. People drifted away, leaving me feeling lost, unsure of myself, and left out. It hurt more than I expected, not just because of the loss itself, but because I started questioning my own worth. I remember one day from this period in particular. Right before AP exams, I was taking a practice test for AP Gov. I couldn't stop thinking about everything that had been happening. I kept trying to focus and hone in on the questions, but my mind drifted back to the distance and confusion I'd been carrying. Tired, frustrated, invisible. Around me, the room buzzed with classmates focused on the same test, and yet I felt completely alone. When I finally hit submit, I got up and went to the bathroom. I looked at myself at these floor-length mirrors, and I just broke down and started crying. I didn't know why. I was just overwhelmed, exhausted, and burnt out all at once. It wasn't about the test. It wasn't about the grades. It was everything else that I was holding inside finally catching up to me. One of my friends walked into the bathroom and saw me crying and just gave me a hug. I stayed there for a moment, unsure of what to do, until a few more of my friends came in after finishing their tests. They didn't say anything complicated or ask questions. They just offered their hugs and their presence. In that moment, I felt something shift. I had felt lonely, but I wasn't alone. Even when friendships feel fragile, there are people who see you, carry you, and quietly show up in meaningful ways. That day reminded me that support isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simple, and sometimes it's enough to remind you that even in moments of doubt, you're not truly alone. Looking back, though, I realized something important. Sometimes people leave our lives not to hurt us, but because their paths are different. And when friendships evolve, it gives us room to meet new people. And that's normal. It's part of life, of growing, and of finding people who fit in your journey. Those moments of loss taught me resilience. They show me that even when connections fall apart, life has a way of guiding us towards relationships that nurture and support us. Even when no one intends to hurt anyone, those experiences shake your confidence. You start questioning your worth. Am I enough? Do they like me? The friendships that once feel safe and fragile, and the fragility cuts deep than grades ever could. Now, I started this talk asking, why do I feel so exhausted when I've done everything right? The answer is complicated. Life is messy. Friendships can crumble. Success isn't linear. Social media didn't help. I found myself doom scrolling, watching friends laugh, live, and belong in moments that I wasn't a part of. Each notification, each photo made me feel more invisible, more behind. I knew that it wasn't healthy, but at the time, it was hard to stop. Slowly, I realized something important. It's not about everyone else. It's about finding the people who are real, who are pure-hearted, and who lift you rather than sense you as competition. Surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care for you can change everything. I want to pause here and say this for every student listening. The people you spend your time with matter. You'll meet people who are supportive, who celebrate your successes, and who are there when things get hard. They matter. And if it's okay if that takes time. Mental health isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving. And thriving means learning how to take care of yourself. Celebrate your own progress, even the small victories, because they matter. Cherish friendships that make your heart lighter. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Reaching out is a sign of courage, not weakness. And remember, your friendships, grades, and competitions do not define your worth. What matters is your resilience, your kindness, and your ability to lift yourself and lift others, even when it's hard. As someone very dear to me once said, you need to be comfortable with yourself before you can be comfortable with others. I've learned that when you find those people who care for you as you are, life feels a little lighter, your heart feels a little bigger, and suddenly the world doesn't feel like such a race. The exhaustion doesn't feel as heavy. You begin to realize that you are enough. And the exhaustion I used to feel, it has not disappeared entirely. But now I see it as a reminder to pause, to breathe, and to care for myself, and to seek connections that are nurturing and real for me at that time. They're a reminder that life isn't about winning every race. It's about finding the people who run beside you, who cheer you on, and who also find ways to remind you that you matter. So to everyone here, hold yourself gently. Take your own hand and be kind to yourself. Lift others when you can. And trust in the messiness of school, friendships, and life, you are enough exactly as you are. Thank you.
Hey everyone, how are we doing? All right, how many of you have felt completely overwhelmed but just kept it hidden? Maybe it was a test you didn't feel ready for, or an assignment you couldn't finish, or just the pressure of trying to be perfect all the time. Maybe it was something no one else could see. 7th grade was my personal battlefield. I was trying to juggle friends, grades, and extracurriculars, like a circus performer. Every night, I would promise myself, just one more hour of homework, just one more practice, just one more assignment. But then the clock would strike midnight, and I'd realize I hadn't slept enough to even remember what I learned that day. I would wake up exhausted, my body screaming for rest, my mind racing faster than I could ever keep up. And yet, I smiled in the hallways. I posted memes online. I acted like everything was fine. But it was not, because admitting otherwise, it felt impossible. We're not mental health professionals. We're students, just like you. And today, I want to talk about something often left unsaid. Today, I want to talk about the academic pressure, mental health, and the cost of silence. The truth is, students today are under enormous pressure. Nearly 1 in 3 students report anxiety so severe it affects their schoolwork. Rates of depression and suicidal thoughts among teens have been steadily rising over the past decade. And while social media connects us, it also pressures us. We see the highlights of everyone's life, the perfect photos, the awards, the achievements, and we compare ourselves. I hear peers say that if I fail this test, it's over, or I just need to handle it myself. I can't bother anyone. These are not exaggerations. These are real voices, real struggles, real students sitting right next to you. And the worst part is, these struggles often come with a mask. We present one version of ourselves to the world, calm, collected, and successful, while inside, we are quietly struggling to breathe ourselves. It is exhausting, and it's invisible to most people. Think about it. How many of us have posted a picture smiling for social media when inside we felt horrible? How many of us have nodded along to a conversation while our mind screamed, I can't keep up with this? So why don't we talk about this? Why do so many of us suffer in silence? There's a stigma. You seem weak, people say. Others won't understand, they say. Or sometimes we hear, just get over it. How many of us have nodded along to a conversation? Imagine carrying a backpack filled with bricks. Each brick is a worry, a fear, a pressure to perform. Every day we walk around smiling, pretending it's empty. But over time, those bricks weigh us down, and eventually we collapse under its weight. The cost of silence is high. Grades can slip, friendships can stay, confidence can erode, mental and physical health can decline. And most tragically, when we don't speak up, we feel completely alone, even when there's people around to help. I want you to ask you something. Raise your hand if you've ever felt this way, even just a little. See, you're not alone. And that right there is the first step, realizing that others feel the same way. For me, 7th grade was a backpack of bricks. I struggled in silence for months. I was tired, irritable, anxious, and scared. I felt like no one could understand what I was going through. Asking for help seemed impossible. One day, I decided to confide in a friend. I said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. That small act, sharing my burden, felt like taking the heaviest brick out of my backpack. Suddenly, I realized I wasn't so alone. From there, I discovered the power of community. Talking to the school counselor helped me sort my thoughts out. Journaling helped me understand my feeling. Taking walks, unplugging from social media, and giving myself permission to breathe helped me reclaim control of my life. Vulnerability wasn't my weakness, it was my strength. And slowly, I learned that struggling in silence does not make you strong. Reaching out, acknowledging your limits, and asking for help, that is true strength. And here's something else I realized. It's okay to fail sometimes. It's okay to say no. It's okay to prioritize your mental health over a perfect grade or an endless schedule. That's not weakness, that's being human. What I want you to take away from my story is this. You do not have to carry the weight alone. You are not weak for needing help. You are human. Reach out to trusted friends, families, teachers, or counselors. Talking matters. Use the resources your school and community provides. Don't wait. Prioritize self-care, sleep, exercise, breaks, unplugging from screens. These aren't luxuries. These are self-survival tools. Create spaces where you can be honest and heard, even if it's just a small circle of friends. And normalize professional help. Therapy is not scary. It's a tool that allows you to grow and heal. I also want you to remember this. Small steps create big change. Something as simple as checking in with a friend, journaling for 10 minutes, or taking a walk outside can make a whole world of difference. And the best part, you don't even have to do these steps alone. You can start today. Every one of us has a story. Every mind matters. Every student matters. I challenge you, yes, you sitting there, to notice the friends around you. Ask them how they're really doing. Advocate for mental health support in your schools. Normalize taking a mental health day. Make your community one where speaking up is celebrated, not feared. And remember my 7th grade story? I'm not carrying that backpack of bricks anymore. And you don't have to either. We can lift each other up. As the poet Rumi said, the wound is where the light enters you. Your struggles, your honesty, your courage, they are the light. Let them shine.
Now, before I begin, I want you to think about this question for a moment. How do we learn to love ourselves when the world has taught us to be everything but gentle with who we are? And that's the question that's shaped my story and what I want to share with you today. My name is Jessica Aurora Lima, and I'm a sophomore student at Quince Orchard High School. Up until recently, I felt like I had to be perfect, the good kid, the one who always had it together, the one my mother would always brag to her friends about. I smiled, I did my work, acted strong, but inside, I was breaking, with what seemed like a tunnel with no visible light at the end. I struggled with depression and anxiety, and even after being diagnosed, I still felt like I was falling short. I'd wake up exhausted and not have the energy to do anything, pretending to be okay because I didn't want anyone to worry, and I labeled myself as a burden. It felt like the world rewarded me for keeping it together, but never asked how I really was. When I couldn't hold it in anymore, I reached out to crisis centers, to counselors, to psychologists, anyone who'd listen. But healing isn't a straight line. It isn't instant, and it doesn't happen overnight. Some days, it felt like I was climbing up with no energy left. And then came another voice, social media. I'd scroll for hours, seeing people who looked happier, more successful, more beautiful, believable than everything that I saw. The world online told me everything I wasn't and drilled an idea into my mind. It convinced me that I was behind, that I wasn't healing fast enough, and that healing and closure had a set time frame, and that it came from somebody else, and that everyone else had it figured out. I didn't realize how much it was feeding into the pain I was trying to escape. I'd compare myself to someone else's highlight reel, and that made me feel even smaller. That's when I started asking myself, how can I love who I am when I'm constantly being shown who I should be instead? So much of that came from pressure, from childhood expectations, from online comparison, from trying to meet impossible standards. I burned out. I lost sight of what I actually liked and knew about myself. At some point, I had to stop and ask, if I took away the grades, the filters, the expectations, would I still love me? Would I still love who I am? And honestly, for a while, I didn't even know what the answer was. I didn't know who I was. But that question became my turning point. My healing started small. Self-love wasn't a fancy thing. It was forgiving myself for resting. It was letting myself cry without apologizing. It was unfollowing people who made me feel less than. It was learning that I didn't need to be productive to be worthy, and that caring for yourself doesn't always look like smiling. Sometimes it looks like surviving another day and being proud of that. I began to replace the voices that dragged me down with my own, gentler, kinder, and patient. So when I ask, how do we learn to love ourselves when the world has taught us not to? Here's what I've learned. You start small. You start by showing up for yourself, even when you feel like no one else will. You realize that closure comes from within and not from anyone else. You speak to yourself like you would a friend who's hurting. You remind yourself that healing isn't linear and you don't owe perfection to anyone. If you're sitting here feeling drained, invisible, or behind, I see you. You're not broken, you're becoming. So today, as you leave this room, ask yourself, how can I be gentler with myself today? Because maybe the beginning of healing is about fixing yourself. It's about finally learning to love the parts of you you thought you were unlovable. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I want to congratulate all of the students again. Can we give them another round of applause for their talks on mental health? Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Baldwin. I'm a resource psychologist in psychological services, and at this time, if you have questions for the students, we'll collect your cards and they will answer your questions if you have them. Okay, so I'm going to present the questions and you all decide which one and who should answer it. The first question is, what do you do when someone is pressuring you or stressing you to be perfect?
Okay, I can answer that. Okay. So, can you repeat the question again, please?
Sure. What do you do when someone is pressuring you or stressing you to be perfect?
Okay. Yeah, I think that sort of stems from that self-love thing that I was talking about, really knowing who you are, knowing what you believe and what you stand on, your foundations. When someone comes to you and says this, says that, you know, like, okay, I'm standing firm on my beliefs. I know who I am. I know that I love myself. I'm content with who I am. I look in the mirror and I tell myself, this is who I am. This is who I see myself to be. I think I'm beautiful. I am content with myself. Just knowing who you are, being strong in your personality, being strong in your character, really stops you from kind of wavering from other opinions that you know that you wouldn't accept.
Does anyone else have anything to add to that? Second part to this is, what do you do when someone is bullying you for no reason?
I can answer that. No,
I can do it. You can do it.
you can.
You can.
I think an important way to sort of, help yourself when you're being bullied is to just remember that there's usually a reason why someone might be bullying you. And even if it doesn't appear to be something that you've done, it might be something going on with them. And that's not something that's not something to feel prideful about. That's not something to be proud of, but it's something that should help you in your own mind just sort of understand that they're not coming at you because of you. It's because of something in their mind. They might be dealing with something at home. They might be having the same mental health struggles that our speakers have talked about. There's all sorts of factors. Like I said in the beginning, there's always a silent struggle that not everyone can see, and it might be their unfortunate way of coping with the situation. So it's important to remember that it may not always be something that you've done or something about you. It might just be their way of coping with something that they're dealing with. And that's still, of course, unacceptable, but if it helps you in your mind to remember that they're going through the same things you are, that's a good way to think of it, in my opinion.
So one thing to add on to that is that if you want to combat that, there's a bunch of resources that MCPS have. We have bullying, harassment forms that you can fill out, and central office and your school will take a look at it. If you have a trusted adult within your school or at home that you want to go to, that's always an option. So you can get help for you and the person that has been bullying you.
I also want to add on to Isaac and Seraphine that a lot of the times why someone might be bullying you, some very wise people that told me this, it might just be because of your skill set. They sense you as competition and they see you as someone that they want to be. And so bullying might be a form of kind of showing that you are someone who's special and unique. So don't take bullying as, obviously bullying is a very hard thing to go through. I went through it all throughout elementary school and middle school. But remember that you are unique and you are incredible just the way you are, and someone should not bully you into being someone that you're not.
Yeah, also adding on to that, it gives you more of a reason to be able to love yourself, to be able to embrace yourself, because you look at this, I was like, okay, this person is looking down on me, this person is, not seeing me for who I am. This gives me more of a reason to keep going to prove this person wrong.
Nice, okay. What would you say is the best thing you learned on your mental health journey?
What I'd say is the best thing I learned is just be yourself. Don't try to live up to other standards. You are your own person. Do what you want to do, be who you want to be, and do whatever you want that you feel is best for you.
So for me, I would say that it's your own journey. Again, you're healing, how you cope, how you approach certain things. It's not going to look like everybody else. You go on social media, you see videos of people like, oh my gosh, I did this to heal and I did that to heal. Like, you're not the same person as them. It's your own journey. This is your own life. And it's up to you to take it step by step, to take it at your pace and not the pace that you're seeing on social media.
And remember that success isn't linear. You're gonna go through a lot before you become an amazing person. You already are an incredible person, but right now you're down here. But success isn't linear. You will slowly get better. You will slowly become the version of yourself that you want to prove everyone wrong. You will slowly become that person who everyone looks up to and everyone admires because you are true to yourself. You don't change yourself because other people say, oh, she's weird, she says this, I don't like how she talks. Sticking to your values and sticking to who you are as a person is the most admirable thing that anyone can do.
You should also find what makes you happy. It's important to have things that maybe are personal to you or that you share with others, things that you can do that you enjoy. For me personally, I would say it's sports. It's a great outlet to reduce stress, to feel accomplished, and to do things that you enjoy. And it's important to find things that make you happy and find outlets that you can go to and things you can do to make yourself feel better, and even to help others too.
So to add on to everything that what they said, of course, as Jessica said, it's your own personal journey. There's nothing that we can tell you that will say, you have to do this to become better. You have to say this. You have to follow this exact routine to be the person that you want to be. As Ishita said, it's not linear. You may have a down before you have an incredible high. Going through that is what builds you as your character, and it's what makes you the best person that you can be.
Awesome. Okay. All right, this is for each of you. How do you handle social media pressure?
Okay, I can start. So for me personally, like if you were to look at me 5 years ago, I was super, super influenced by what I saw on social media. Thinking that I had to be like some type of person that TikTok or Instagram is showing me, this type of person that I'm seeing on this person's reels or highlights or whatever. And then eventually it came to me to learn that this is me. Like I need to figure out, or it came to me that I didn't realize who I was, right? Because I'm seeing all these different personalities on social media telling me to be who I am. And I'm like, okay, I'll be like this. I want to be like that too, but I also want to be like that. So who am I? What do I like, right? And so it took a while for me to really understand, to look into myself, say, okay, this is who I am. This is the things that I like. These are my hobbies. These are my friends, the people that I love. And, being able to grow that thought, to really, to just continue growing that thought, to being strong in myself, being founded in myself, really knowing who I am helps me kind of like block out this idea of social media saying, you should be this. No, but I know that I'm this, so I don't want to be that. That's kind of like where I am right now.
I think that even earlier just this year, if you looked at my screen time, you would see that Instagram was my most used app. My parents are a testament to that. They would be like, what's going on? Like, why am I seeing that your Instagram is like 5 hours a day? That's kind of ridiculous. But my parents were like, maybe you should just put like a screen time or like a restriction on it or something. Of course, during that time, I didn't listen because in my head, I was like, I need to make people think that I'm a person that I'm not. So I would post on social media every day. I would post that like, oh, I'm going here, I look like this. And I think that at that time, I wanted people to think I was popular and cool. And the thing is, I was not in a good place at that time. And I think that focusing on social media was not a good idea for me. I should have been focusing on, making myself feel better. So I think that, as I started to realize that, I started to unfollow people that didn't bring me happiness or didn't make me feel confident. I started unfollowing all of these influencers who had perfect bodies, who had perfect lifestyles, who were popular and cool, because I didn't want to put that kind of perspective and values into my head. Instead, I started following people who uplift me. I was very insecure about how my body was, and so I started following influencers who talked about body dysmorphia and started uplifting you and saying, no, you are perfect just the way you are. You shouldn't have to change yourself to fit anyone else's standards. I think that as time went on, I think I naturally started realizing, my faults, and I stepped away from social media. That's not to say I don't spend time on social media. Maybe my screen time is like 2 hours a day now. Sorry, Mom, sorry, Dad. But, I am getting better, and that's what healing is about.
For me, it's honestly something, like social media is still something I struggle with. If you looked at my screen time, you would probably wince in horror, to be honest. But I think something that is like a canon event for people is creating a YouTube channel and trying to post on it. That happened to me. Not my proudest moment, but I was thinking, what should I create? What will people like? Instead of thinking, what would I like to show the world? How can I be real and show people, this is who I am, this is what I'm proud of, this is what I represent. So while I still may struggle with posting things that seem as affront to the world, instead now I have multiple social media accounts, one for Stuco and one for my personal life. On my personal life, I post things that I'm passionate about, things that I think deserve change and deserve outreach. So while it's something that's still a little bit iffy in my life, it's something that I'm working on to get better.
The question was about social media pressures, right?
Mm-hmm. How do you handle social media pressure?
Okay, I think it's important to remember that a lot of times when people post things on social media, it's just an image. It's not the big picture. It's just a little image of their life that doesn't allow you to see the big picture. For example, see that phone there that Ishita is holding? It's just a little box. It is a box that sends things to other little boxes by signals that you can't even see. I think it's important to remember that while it may be a big part of many people's lives, for better or for worse, it's not that significant. It doesn't really change anything, and you cannot let it dictate who you are, and you cannot let it negatively affect your mind. When people post things on social media, they're oftentimes trying to make themselves look better or trying to make up for something that they might feel that they lack. They're only showing the good side. They're not opening up the door. And unfortunately, that creates a very unrealistic image of how life should be for a lot of people. Like my fellow speaker was talking about earlier, you see these perfect people, perfect in every way, but in reality, you know nothing about them. You don't know what's going on in their mind, with the people around them, in their life. There's all sorts of challenges that people face, and a lot of times they like to use social media as a way to just create this image of themselves without all those negative things. And unfortunately, that can make life look unrealistic for a lot of people, and it can give them unrealistic goals, expectations. They judge themselves, or they let other people judge them. And I think that you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's just a box with some little images on it, and it is not that significant in the grand scheme of life.
You good? You good? Okay. All right. So when you were in crisis, what helped you through, or what could you have done to combat crisis from coming into play?
All right, so when I was stressed out and stuff, I think talking to my friends was the most useful thing, because just talking to them made me feel better and made me have a better day, because I could open up to them, say what was going wrong. They could tell me what was going wrong in their life, so I didn't feel alone also.
For me, I think some of those 2 a.m. rants to friends are definitely a help, but one of my main outlets is music. Whether I'm writing my own lyrics or I'm listening to somebody else's music, I'm playing my violin or my bass, or I'm just singing my heart out, it's really a great way for me to relieve stress and a way that I can express myself in a form that allows for me to feel regular again, is a way I think I could say it. It helps me reset after the day, even when sometimes when I'm practicing my bass and I can't quite get the note right, makes me want to tear out my hair a little. But in all, it's just like a great stress reliever. Finding something to do with your hands is also like a great way that I know works for many people.
I think that for me, my biggest support was my mom and my dad and my sister, because at the time I was going through all these friendship breakups, I wasn't sure who I could trust and who I could truly talk to, but I knew that my parents, my sister would always be there for me and I could tell them anything. So, most days I would come home, crying, telling them all this stuff, and no matter if I was telling them gossip, if I was telling them about my day, they would always be there to listen and to help me through whatever I was going through, so.
I would say I think the first step of healing is through yourself, no one else. I don't relate as much to everyone else because I kind of grew up bottling up my feelings, but what I can tell you is it's not worth it to bottle up at all. But I do think that it starts with yourself before going to anybody else, whether that's just letting yourself cry, especially holding in your emotions won't help you at all. It'll only make them worse and it'll explode eventually, and then you'll have to go greater heights, right? So I think whether it's just sitting down, letting those emotions just come out without stop, without control, and just it comes from yourself. I think it comes from the heart, that first step to healing. It's not anyone else telling you that, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. It comes from yourself.
Okay, this is the final question. Oh, you have one?
Yeah, can I hear the question one more time just to refresh myself? Can I hear the question one more time? Just that last.
The last question. When you were in crisis, what helped you through, and what could you have done to combat going into a crisis?
Ooh, I have a good answer for that one. So when I was in first and second grade, probably the worst 2 years of my life thus far, I got bullied a lot by other kids, and it's interesting because it was at a very young time for all of us, but I still faced a lot of issues being bullied in early elementary school years, first and second grade especially. And when I look back on it, I realized that there were a lot of things that I could have changed in my own mind. I realized that I probably should have not been as hard on myself. Unfortunately, back then, I let the bullies get into my head a lot, and I let their negativity bring me down. There were days when I would come home from school literally in tears as a first and second grader. Not fun. And it was just a very difficult time, and some things that I could have changed was my own mindset. I should have of course it was hard because I was young, but I probably should have understood that it really didn't matter what they said or what they did, because obviously I don't know any of them now, and I should have been easier on myself. And something I did do that helped me was I found a really good outlet that made me happy: sports. During first and second grade, around that time, that's when I started doing karate, which is a really great way to let go of a lot of negative thoughts. I started playing baseball, which also has helped me a lot. And I also do racing now, driving, which is also very helpful. And so I think it's important to not let your own mindset hurt you when other people already are. And you also have to find what makes you happy. Find your outlets. Find your this is who I am, this is what I love. That's what you have to do if you really want to make yourself happy and get yourself through difficult situations like I did.
Okay, I think we're going to stop there. Thank you very much. I appreciate each of your perspective, and I thank each of you for your questions. Can we give them a round of applause again? I'm done. Mm-hmm.
So thank everyone for coming out today. The information about SSL. So outside there'll be 2 lines. There'll be those students who arrived this morning at 8:45 a.m. you will receive your SSL hours from the student volunteer table and to turn in your lanyards. And everyone else will get in line for their SSL hours. Turn in your passports and enjoy. I hope you learned something today to encourage your mental wellness. Have a great day.